Issue 31, Stormbringer magazine. We're over a third of the way there, and so far I've been able to keep up with the painting. But I'm more curious. How are you finding it? What issue are you on? How are you finding the painting? Tell me in the comments below. Hello and welcome to The Lucky Roll, an eclectic channel for eclectic games, and today we're continuing our series on Warhammer's Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine by Hachette Collection, and today we're doing issue 31. So this comes with 5 Vigilers, which I have painted and I'll show you in a moment, but let's have a quick look at the lore inside. So the lore this time focuses on the Seraphon, which are, would you believe it, one of the good guys. They're allied with Sigmar and one of the older races of the realms. They're kind of very Aztec dinosaur kind of aesthetic. So they have different types of warriors and kind of various types of leaders. But the warriors of the Seraphon have been bred for war, so that they're kind of, they have spawning pools and they pretty much come out ready to kind of attack. Whereas their leaders have lived for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years and are super intelligent and highly effective with magic. And they are one of Sigmar's foremost allies in the forces of order. So there's 3 kind of main characters to it. You have the Slann, which are basically the leaders, and they're huge amphibian creatures who have a mastery of magic that few beings in the realms can rival. And they're very interesting models because they're kind of huge fat things seated on top of chairs. You have the Saurus, which are basically the frontline infantry, who are very tough hombres. Some of them, their scales can become so hard that it serves as armor itself. Any of the Skinks, who are natural scouts and raiders, would have lightning fast reflexes and poison darts. And of course you have the engines of the gods, which are basically huge beasts of burden. You have a bit of Warhammer history here with the Dawnbringer Crusades, which talks about the different places and the crusades that they're trying to bring back from the forces of chaos. So you've got the Crusades of Gur, the Crusades of Ulgu, the Crusades of Shaman, and the Crusades of Akishi. And you have here the Forges of Creation. Now this is very interesting because this is where the Stormcast Eternals are made and reforged and their weapons bound. So it goes into a nice little bit of information on the process, who works there and how it goes. And you have the 6 smiths, it talks about them. And you have the process here for the poor Stormcast Eternal, in which you have the Flight of the Soul, Remade in Lightning, and Duty Unending. And the basically death and reappearing by lightning is a very traumatic experience for the Stormcast Eternals. So sometimes they forget things, but also sometimes they come back with extra powers such as Skin of Steel or Eyes of Blazing Lightning. So the process does change them up a little bit. You have here the Vigilers. You've got the How to Build guide. So these are actually, just be wary, these are actually slightly more complicated than your typical Stormcast Eternals. So they're a lot more bitty than you would think, so they took a little bit longer to make and to paint. You have a paint guide here, which is fairly elaborate because your collection of paints is built up. You have the War Scroll here for the Vigilers, and you have the War Scroll tutorial, and Into the Maw is the actual Alliance objective mission. So, with no further ado, let's have a look at the minis themselves. So you get 5 of them, and they're very interesting little minis, so I decided to go back to my little desert scape for the Vigilers. So this of course is the captain with the as you can see, with the horsehair plume, and they're beautiful looking miniatures. I mean, again, this is top tier sculpting from Games Workshop, and I presume the fact that they're so busy in their assembly allows for more dramatic poses. So as you can see here, the wind is really flipping up against this character, but the bow stands ready and the sword stands ready, so it's a very dynamic, very cool looking pose. But because it's quite busy, it takes time to put all the little pieces in. You have another piece here, which I actually really liked this one because it's the Scout and he's looking at a map, which I had fun kind of trying to paint a little bit. It was certainly something fresh and unusual that I'd never done before in these little minis. So the idea of painting a map for a character to look at was really cool. Now, of course, it's funny that I'm doing a desert landscape and the guy is looking at green and blue on the map, so he's definitely lost. But nevertheless, it was a cool little mini, and again, you can see that the wind is whipping, so they're very dynamic poses, and the bow as well is just huge. We have another character here again, so quite an interesting kind of an interesting kind of pose again, because he's obviously been firing arrows like mad, so unless he's going to put the sword into the bow and fire it, I think he's getting ready for some close-up combat. But again, very kind of wind-whipping, dynamic pose type of stuff. So I mean, these are absolutely gorgeous figures, really nice. And of course you have the helmeted versions as well if you so wish, but he does give me a very kind of Abaddon feel from Warhammer 40k with his top knot. You have here another character, which again, very cool. So he's probably being sheltered from the others from the actual wind. Again, you have the sword and bow aspect here, and the size of the bow really makes the character stand out. I mean, I quite enjoy painting these. You know, it's they're just class looking characters. So I don't know, they're just, I had fun making them, but they did take time. But you know, because they took time, because there were so many little bitty pieces to put together, I was forced into sub-assemblies, and because you're forced into sub-assemblies, you can spend more time painting, and I think your models come out a little bit better for your efforts as a result. And you have here, of course, a female character. So it's that's one of the good things about Age of Sigmar, is you can paint female Sigmarines as well as male ones. So the variation and change in sculpt and posture is actually, it just makes the hobby more interesting, you know. But again, they're all armed with massive swords and fairly serious bows. But yep, these were the 5 Vigilers that you get in issue 31, and a cool little section of Stormcast Internals indeed. And I think my favorite one again is just for the sheer audacity, the poor fella with the map in the middle of the desert who is obviously lost. So that's everything from issue 31. As always, if you enjoy these videos, please like, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff, and join us in time for the next issue, which is 32. So until then, good luck, God bless, and stay safe.